Hey folks, welcome to Maverick Gunworks. Today we're going to talk about some basic steps of going through the installation and fabrication, or whatever you want to call it. Basically it's putting together an upper receiver for a 14.5-inch barrel that will have a muzzle device adapter for using putting a suppressor, muffler, whatever you want to call it, a can on it. We'll show you how to drill and tap. We'll drill and pin weld that, and like some of the basic steps of how to go about that. And we'll talk about why we do certain things. All right. So anyway, we have this is a used receiver that these gentlemen has opted to put a different barrel on it. So we're going to mount our barrel, and I go through some of the things that we have to do to make sure that this is done correctly. All right. I have my block inside the receiver to help keep from damaging the receiver while we have it torqued down with our torque wrench. This block also is molded and machined out just to fit the receiver, so that it's clamped tightly so that nothing damages the receiver when we're torquing on it. We have our barrel nut here we'll torque down that with. I'm going to add a little bit of lube on it. This is used, so it has some lubrication on it, but I'm going to add just a little bit of assembly lube on here, some grease, to help ensure that we have the accurate reading when we torque it down. Right. And also a footnote on this barrel, this is a 14.5-inch barrel that we'll add a device to. But if you look under here, we have a little dimple that is on the barrel. That is a pocket for the set screw to sit into, so when you torque it down, you have less likely of a set screw coming loose and moving. And I'll do that actually on all the barrels I put together myself. I like to do that. We have a pilot, a guide that we'll put on here. If we don't have a hole already in the barrel, we'll put a dimple in that. But this one already has one there, so we're going to let that go. It'll work out nicely that way. But as we go through, I'll give you just some tips and some things to watch for if you're going to do this yourself, and while we do certain things. All right. So anyway, we've got our block here. I'm going to dab a little bit of lube on the threads. Then we'll clamp it in the vise and go from there. And this is nothing magic about this. It's just assembly lube, basically some modded grease that is designed for putting parts together and to keep from galling and binding to the threads. We'll snug that down. And we've got our barrel here. We're going to slip our barrel. Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure this don't bind either. I'm going to put just a dab of lube on the outside of the barrel here. And also I like to have a dab of lubricant on the face of the rim so that there's no binding. That will make sure we get an accurate reading on our torque wrench. Wouldn't even hurt probably to put a dab of gun oil on that so that you have no problem with binding on it. Slip our barrel into here. Put a dab of lube, actually just a dab inside the threads also on the barrel nut. Don't have to be a lot, just enough to make sure you have a less likelihood of binding, and make sure you have a good fitting torque reading in this case. We have it snug down. All right, and I have my crow's foot wrench here that's made to fit just over the barrel nut. With this one, I'm going to put my torque wrench on about 45 foot-pounds and make sure we got it torqued down. And see if I can reach this right here. And here. And click. So now we know we're at 45 foot-pounds in this case. You know, it's anywhere from 35 to 50, 55 foot-pounds of torque is fine for that. Okay. And now, there's nothing magic about that. As long as it's snug enough that it's not going to vibrate loose when you're in operation of it. Now we're going to look at our gas block assembly. I've already took the freedom of putting the gas tube into the gas block here, and I've put my set screws in it. And for the set screws, I always use a little Loctite. I use blue Loctite, which is a removable Loctite, but it will keep the thing from vibrating loose, especially if you have a pocket recessed in the barrel so that the tip of the set screw will fit down in there. Right, so we're going to stick this on now. Right, just like that. And so I've got a little element here. Make sure I've got this lined up straight. Okay. You hear noise in the background. It's my refrigerator back there came on. It's a little bit noisy. And here we have that lined up in the pocket. Get it good and snug with our Loctite on it. Right. Button up the other one. I'll probably come back with a regular Allen wrench with a little more leverage possibly. The snuggies torque these down better. But it'll work just fine, just like that. Alright. Next, we're going to mount our muzzle device here. And for this, since we are using a suppressor on this in the future, this is the adapter for the suppressor. Being a 14.5 inch barrel, the overall length of the suppressor adapter will give us the legal 16 inches that we need to make it a rifle, without having to have a special short barrel rifle stamp, kind of tax depend on to it. Anyway, we're going to torque this down, and because it is an adapter for a suppressor, you got to have that thing perfectly lined up with the barrel. We're not going to use the typical cone washer, crush washer that would normally be with a muzzle device. We're going to put shims on it so that it stays perfectly true with the threads on the center of the barrel. You can see our adapter already has a hole drilled into it. So once I get this lined up where I want it indexed, then I will take it out. I'm going to drill a pocket into the threads. We'll make a pin. I'll show you that too. We'll make a pin fit in there and weld that so that it don't come off without having to machine it off. All right. So anyway, that's where we're at now. We're going to take a break here, and I'll get some shims and fit this like it should be. We'll come back and show you a few more steps of it. Okay, folks, I've gotten the muzzle device, the adapter, with some shims on it. Got it tightened down good and indexed where I want it to be. And I've measured everything. I'm going to do a recessed hole into the barrel threads so we can put a pin in it and make this permanently mounted, so you can't just take a wrench and pull it off. Okay, that makes it legal to be a 16-inch rifled barrel rifle. All right, so set everything up here. I've got my dial indicator, my digital readout back to 0. I'm going to drill about 50 thousandths. That goes deep enough to go through the threads and slightly into the middle of the barrel, just below the threads. Gives us plenty of material there to make a solid pin mounting. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and drill this out, and we'll go from there. Don't take a whole lot anyway, just a small hole. Okay, it's really good and tight so it don't move on me. 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 thousandths. Okay. And that gives us enough depth that we can make our pin fit into the barrel and make it permanent mount. All right. So we'll take this out. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with tapering the pin so that it fits into the same angle as the drill bit, the pocket where the drill bit cut, and then we'll go from there. All right. Okay. What I want to show you now is what we've done with the pin we're going to use to weld into the muzzle device. I've measured it, taken a little bit of grinding on the tip of it here to get it at an angle so that it fits into the pocket to very closely match the tip of the drill bit when it was, when the hole was bored out. And now we have it long enough that it sticks above the top of our muzzle device, so we'll be able to weld this and fuse it into our muzzle device, thereby making it a more permanent installation and making it legal. So hang on, we'll just take a minute. We're going to weld this on and show you the result. Okay, we're back at the bench now, and I want to give you a little tip here. We've gotten the welding done. I've slipped my hand guard forearm onto the receiver, and we've got a couple screws in it. And what I always do myself, at least, is use a little bit of blue Loctite. A little bit goes a long ways, y'all. You don't have to use much, and because it's going to, as you thread it in, it's going to squeeze itself onto the threads even further up the screw. So a little bit goes a long ways, and this will help prevent the thing from vibrating loose while you're operating it. And get that good and snug right there. Right. So I've already done the rest of the screws here. All right, there we go. And now we'll swing this back around and take it out, and get all of our blocks clamps out of the way. Here is our newly assembled upper with a 14.5-inch barrel, and we can see, now you can maybe see better, the weld here. So our pinion weld makes it legal as a permanently attached device for a 16-inch barrel. So there you go. If that's something you like, give me a thumbs up maybe on the channel when you get through watching this thing. And if it's something that maybe we can help you with as far as this type work on your rifle, give me a holler and we'll help you out. Thanks for watching, guys.